I'm upside down. Hi, guys. It's Nora, and we are struggling today. Thank you for noticing. And I don't know how to fix this, so give me 1 second. Don't think that I'm going to figure it out all by myself. You guys ready? I'm back right side up. I'm right side up. Welcome. This is my attempt at doing TFA live as a call-in show. Some people on Substack were, thank you, Max, for the text. I did figure that out. Some people on Substack were like, why didn't you tell us about this? This is why I didn't tell you about this. I had a feeling that it would go awry before it could go aright. So that's where we are. Thanks for asking is a call-in show about what matters to you. I truly do not know if anybody will be here, but if you are, I do have a loose agenda. I'm going to go through some of the calls and texts that I've gotten about recent episodes. And if you do want to call, that is all you do. And actually, somebody just texted me and they're ready for me to call them, which is another option. I thought that I would have my makeup done. I don't. So I might end up doing my makeup on this call because what I always tell my children is what I will tell you. It is what's on the outside that counts. We recently did an episode about telling your friends, your loved ones, that you don't like their partner. And people had so many opinions on this because this is it's a sticky topic. And I think most of us have been there. Most of us have been through it. And either you are somebody whose partner is hated or you are somebody who's, who hates your friend's partner. And either way, it doesn't feel good. Like either way, it doesn't feel good. So I actually got a text from somebody who is a person whose friends hate their partner, and I am going to give them a call. And of course, my phone is also dying. When I say that we're thriving on a Friday, I mean just something's happening.
Hello.
Hi, it's Nora.
Hi, Nora. How are you?
Hi, good. Sorry, you texted and you're like, are you still doing the live stream? I'm trying. It much more difficult than I believed it to be. It requires did you hear that?
No
That was
worries.
like the
No, I'm like
cracking of
90
a
years old type.
very fresh Diet Coke. Okay, are you on AirPods by any chance?
Upstairs, the audio will be better.
Okay, yeah. I'm on a one-woman crusade against AirPods.
I joined you in that crusade. I was like sitting in my closet earlier.
Yeah, you could be anywhere. You could be in a sensory deprivation chamber. Your AirPods are still going to suck. They will not provide good quality audio to somebody else, nor will they give you any. Okay, so you
Is
texted
that
me
better?
so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You texted me because people hate your boyfriend.
Yeah, a bit. I don't know. I mean, for context, we've been together for ages. I'm only 22. Been together since high school.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And that's a hot topic of discussion.
Yeah. Wait,
And
what part is a hot topic? That you've been together so long?
Yeah, I mean, and generally, like the whole high school sweetheart thing is a hot button issue for some people.
It really is. It really is.
And it's kind of, interesting as you grow up with someone to like change perspectives. And I've had like a lot of things happen in the like 5 years we were dating. My uncle, who was like my dad, died, and then my grandma died, and then my real dad died. So, compounding. But I don't know, basically it's kind of come to the forefront of conversation in the last like year or two that everyone's like, ooh, really? Him?
Ooh.
And
So how much time passed before people started telling you how they felt?
I mean, it was a solid period of time, and it usually is like newer friends and like things like people like that who are like, oh, well, unsolicited, when I came into your apartment, I didn't think that he would look like that or be like that or all these things. And it's just like very interesting that,
Okay,
everyone was like
that's mean and
cool with it
rude.
and then not. Right. No, I know. But
Like
like
there's certain
also,
I mean like what like how do I don't know how to react if somebody says that I didn't think they would look like that. That bothers me.
well,
I'll be
right. I was
honest.
like, okay. It's just like, I think the broader issue is that people don't necessarily feel like it's a very equal partnership, but at the same
Mm.
time, like, what partnership really is equal? I think people kind of
Not
trade off.
mine.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly.
Not mine. In
I
defense
don't know.
of dirtbags
Mhm.
everywhere, I have to say every relationship needs one. And it's me. Okay.
Exactly. It's me. No, usually I think it's me, but apparently that is not the case for other people.
Like
So I don't know.
like I don't know. I'm very hung up on I cannot imagine saying to somebody I didn't think your partner would look that way. Like I'm a
Do
woman
you
on
want to
the
hear the
internet.
direct
Trust me,
quote?
people
No,
say
I know.
crazy stuff to me. People are like, I thought you'd be prettier. And I'm like, thank you.
The direct quote was when so the friend that most recently, kind of not confronted me, but I was like over at her apartment and she like launches into this whole, I just don't think that he is like the best person for you, all these things. The little context is she's a lesbian. And so I was like, well, it's just a different like dynamic. She was like, yeah, but when I came to your apartment and he opened the door, I was really expecting more of a man. I was like, oh, that's an interesting take.
What? What is he like? Is he a rabbit? Is he a
No, I mean, he's just not like a big beefy dude. I was like, so it's
okay?
very interesting that you have this very rich picture in your brain of
Yeah.
what you think I should be doing.
So your
But
friends who have I feel like I'm out of focus. Am I out of focus? I can't tell. I'm don't worry, I'm listening to you, but like any
no, you're doing
person,
it
I'm
great.
literally just
Mhm.
looking at myself. God dang it. Okay. Wait, okay. So your friends who have known you and presumably him, if you were high school sweethearts, the people who have known you for a long time, what do they say about the relationship?
Not much. And I honestly it's interesting because, sometimes you feel like it's easier to say things to people that you don't know as well, if
That's true.
that's the case.
Oh, I just hit myself in the forehead with the handle of my
Oh
brush,
no,
of my
that's
makeup brush.
classic. I stabbed myself in the eyeball the other day with my eyebrow pencil. That was a
Oh
really lovely.
God, I've been through a lot of physical pain in my life. I've had children. Stabbing yourself in the eye with a mascara wand or an
Oh
eyeliner,
God,
it's there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
traumatizing.
Nothing
That,
like
and then
it.
you add the liquid element to it if you're going liquid liner, and then your whole
And the way that you
eye
did
turns.
it to yourself, and you're like, how did I do
Mm-hmm.
that? How did I do that to myself? I hate it. I
And
absolutely
then
hate
all of a
it.
sudden you're on the floor. Yep.
Yep, all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden you're completely incapacitated. So the people who have known you for a long time are like they're not talking crap about this guy. But the people who are new in your life are like, "Oh, what to them what makes it an unequal partnership?"
He's still in school. I graduated a year early, and I'm like working.
Damn.
You've
Yeah.
been there, and
Yeah.
I'm a copywriting grunt in
Ooh.
advertising, and so
Ooh.
I work all the time, all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. It's glorified
And
too. It's like, "Girl, aren't
yeah,
you
it is.
so lucky to be
You
here?
better,
A
girl
million girls
boss.
would kill for
Uh-huh.
this job."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that, he's very like artistic and free
Yeah.
spirited, and I am not as much, or a little bit more buttoned up. And I think that something that like people generally who are on the outside don't really recognize is that he's just like a very reserved person.
Yeah.
Like he's not like a very outwardly expressive individual, like in public settings and like in super social settings. Like he's
Yeah.
kind of quiet. So I think like honestly that might be a factor. And then coupled with the whole like, there are a lot of people who are like, well, you need to sow your wild oats, which like, trust me, we've had those conversations and I get
Yeah.
it. And like, it's just an interesting dynamic
Yeah, I
generally.
know. It is, you're right that having a long-term relationship that started when you were in high school brings up a lot for people. And it does open you up to a lot of unsolicited feedback that's not always helpful. I was your age. I was also still with a person that I had met in high school. We stayed together for, a long time. And, he was just different than a lot of people, like
Hmm.
he just
Right.
was. And, yeah, that's rough. It's rough. It's rough. And I also think advertising is specifically snobby.
Oh, it's incredibly snobby.
It's so snobby. And it's like, maybe I don't want to spend my home life with people, with the kind of person I work with, you know?
Right. Like, and I'll double it up. Like, it's pharmaceutical advertising. So everyone is like crazy.
People in advertising believe that they are saving the world. People in
No, I
advertising,
know.
I was one of them. I was like, there's no one as creative and cool as me. Like, no one is doing like as important work as I am doing. We are submitting ourselves for awards. I was like, cool your jets.
Yep.
You're making ads about moderate to
You're
severe
writing
plaque
text.
psoriasis.
Yep, that's literally exactly it. I'm like, no one's going to read this email. You know, everyone's got an ad blocker. These banners are not going anywhere.
You know where they go? They go directly to me because I actually love those ads. I love pharmaceutical advertising. They get better every year. I'm not just saying that. Like every year, like so now I'm getting ones that are like a story. They're like, wow, Emily had no idea. And it's a woman hula hooping, and I'm like locked in for Emily's life story. And I'm like, oh yeah, she just needed, you know, in Falcatron, and then she's fine. She's fine.
And you know, it took somebody a year and a half to get through 15 different rounds of medical legal review to even get Emily's story out there.
To even get Emily's story out there, based on a true story. Emily's story was just based on a true story. That's
but an
hard.
actor's portrayal.
So these are kind of like new work friends. This your first job, I imagine. I'm gonna just project onto you because that's what I like to do.
Go ahead.
I wanted everyone that I worked with to think like I was cool and like them,
right?
You know, so that would affect me. That would affect me now, honestly. It would, but
it's a bummer.
Yeah, and you know what? I did have my own Rumspringa when I was like 23 to 27. And I can't say, you know, that it was all worth it.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure it had its merits, but it's like, it's funny.
I had
like,
fun.
You know,
I had my fun. As I tell my children, I had my fun. I really did. But I would not say that, you know, slutting it up is all that it's cracked up to be. Like, and I don't know.
And it's funny you say that because, like, you know, when you're given all this unsolicited opinion, like usually I'm like, what would you like me to do? You know, like with this conversation, like what is your, you know, ideal scenario of action after telling you those things? And like, you know, they're like, oh, well, you know, go wild. And I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like going wild is going all that well for you. And like, again, not to knock it, but it's like,
the number of nights I was like crying, the number of nights I went to bed at, I'm going to just tell you all of my secret shames. The number of nights I went to bed after breaking up with somebody who did love me. And you know what? Everything gets you to where you're supposed to go. Like, we were not the healthiest of matches. He ended up happy. I ended up happy-ish. Like, you know, things worked out, right? Like the way they worked out. And, you know, without him, I never would have gotten to, you know, some other really key relationships in my life, including obviously the one that I'm in now and Aaron and all of that. Like, it all gets you somewhere. And I do think people kind of forget that. And I broke up with him, and the number of nights I went to bed in a full face of makeup because a guy that would not come to the funeral if I got hit by a train may or may not text me at 1 a.m. after 60 drinks and, you know, like who knows what drugs that is something that I will be thinking about on my deathbed. I really will be. I will be thinking about the nights that I spent, you know, chasing a guy who truly could not care less about me. Like, oh God. Like, it's agony. And that's, if it would be one thing if you don't sound like you are dissatisfied with this person. Is he nice to you?
He's very nice to me. And
okay.
I don't know, like, very cool. Like, he's just the most unproblematic in the basement, in the living room, building shelves for all of our things kind of individual.
What
and like,
else could we want out of a straight
the man sews.
than to be neither?
He sews. He makes
him.
Clothes, makes me
Keep
clothes.
him.
He made my whole graduation outfit for college graduation. He like made
Case
a whole
closed.
pattern and
You can tell
yeah,
everyone
no,
to F off. I'm sorry. Like, this man
yeah, no, I'm
sewed
glad
you
you're saying that.
clothes and people are talking shit about
Right.
SHIT about him. I think I'm not supposed to swear on YouTube, but that's bananas. That's so inappropriate. And I'm glad that you can see at this age that that these are inappropriate opinions to be shared with you. Boundaries didn't
Yeah, and
exist
like,
when I was your age, so it's like a pretty big deal that you get to have them. That's pretty cool.
I don't know, it's funny. Like, I think that generally I'm kind of a blunt person, and I think
Yeah.
that does open me up to a lot of unsolicited advice. But
Really?
yeah,
That's wild, 'cause-
shockingly.
Yeah, that's wild because I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm also I like to be direct, you know?
Yeah,
And I think especially if, like I grew up in a very
good old Irish Catholic household.
passive aggression, baby. That's my native tongue.
Yep, that's mine too.
And there's always one person in the family, sounds like it's you, sounds like it's me, who's like, what if we just said it?
Right. You
What if
know,
we just said
I
it?
was the girl who was asked to leave confirmation class because I said, what if Jesus or God wasn't real? Like, that was my shtick for years. And now that it's
Me learning about shmushmorshin in middle school, I was like, wait, what? Like, what if
You're like,
it's
huh?
what if it's fine? Like,
You're like, I think we'll be all right.
yeah. Yeah.
But,
So the world needs you. Yeah. That would feel really bad. Like if somebody was good to me, I have been in relationships that were bad for me. And also was not amenable to hearing other people's opinions about them. But I have to say that having somebody come to your house and say, like, I thought he'd look different is just rude and not constructive.
It's a wild way. Yeah, exactly.
Wild. Absolutely bananas. I cannot imagine ever opening a conversation that way with somebody, especially with somebody I barely know, like a new friend, to be like, oh, I just thought your boyfriend would be different looking. Like, what?
Oh.
Okay. Well, he's
clearly
not.
you've given this more thought than me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's not. That's what he looks like. Should I like take his face off? You're too young to know that movie, but but I do. You know what? I want you to watch Face Off because
I will watch Face Off.
it's one of the greatest movies ever made. It's so
okay.
You're oh my God, you're younger than my oldest child, which means you probably grew up loving National Treasure.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Wait till you see Face Off. You'll see Nicolas Cage in a whole new light because he will be played by the guy from Grease. Why can't I remember his name? I think I have dementia. John Travolta. There you go. John Travolta. Yeah. It's a great movie. Watch it with your great boyfriend tonight. Okay. Watch it with him tonight. Okay. Well, I'm on your side.
Thank you, Nora.
That sucks. And one thing we all have to remember, if we do not like the person our loved one, our friend, our new friend especially is dating, if we have opinions on it, like you got to consider not just what you're saying, but how you're saying it.
The tone, the framing. Yeah.
All of it. That's like horrifying. And also like, I do think, and this is going to ruffle a couple feathers. I think at this age too, there's a lot of, and this goes back, like this is like social conditioning. This is, this is embedded in our DNA to not trust our own choices as women and then be highly suspicious of other women's choices.
Yep.
And view another woman's choices as an attack on our own or an invalidation of our own, when in reality, you can be a 22-year-old whose boyfriend is still in school, which is very normal, right. I have to say. And that does not make you a trad wife. It does not make you, and even if it did, okay, all right, you're allowed to make that choice. But there is something about that age specifically. And I was like highly susceptible to that too. Like when my friends were single, I definitely wanted to be single. When my friends were all paired up, I was looking for a boyfriend in all the wrong places. So, so I get it. And that's tough. And I'm really sorry. I cannot imagine somebody saying that to me. I'm going to wrap this up because I'm giving you the Minnesota goodbye where I just say the same thing 100 times. So thank you for calling.
So much for everything.
And that girl's dead wrong. Okay. Dead wrong. And the next time she says something like that, you should say, that's so interesting that you felt like you should say that to me.
Indeed, I will. Thank you so much, Nora.
Truly. I mean, yeah, I don't know. That's rough. I don't like that. I don't like that. And I like your boyfriend. And also send me a picture of the outfit he made you because I love a man who sews.
I will.
I
All
love
right.
it.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
Bye.
Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. All right. Okay, so that was our first call. This is so exciting for me to be able to do this. So thank you if you are watching. I don't know if you are because I'm afraid to touch any of the buttons on the screen, but Thanks for Asking is a call-in show where sometimes I'm calling you, actually. But if you want to call, the number is 612-568-4441. I got a text from Jen. And so she might be calling in. She wants to talk about a breach of trust at work this week. Am I blurry? Max, if I am blurry, please let me know. Because I kind of think I am, but I don't know if I am. So let me know.
Connecting.
This is the first call I've gotten. Okay. How do I answer it? Oh my God. Oops. Is it going? Oh. Hello.
Hi, Nora.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little frazzled. Like I'm trying to see if my pit stains are showing up on the. Not so much. Okay. I'm a little
I do
frazzled.
not see
Everything
them.
was
You're
going
good.
wrong. She's like, it's just one of those years, you know?
Oh my God. Has
God.
February and January not been the longest year in the face of the planet?
It's been 100 years. It's been 100
Seriously,
years.
yeah.
100 years.
100%.
I have to mess
right
with
there
my
with you.
camera at some point because shout out to Pete for letting me know that it's like focusing on the phone instead of my face. But it is, and I don't know why. There it is. I'm back. Okay. Okay, so sorry. What happened at work? Tell me.
Okay, so it was so insane to me that this even happened. I work part-time somewhere.
Okay.
I sit at a stage door of a performance venue. Very exciting. So routinely, you have stagehands coming in or taking a break, and they're smoking right outside the door. This happens. So 2 weeks ago, we were all sitting at work in various parts of the building, and everybody started smelling weed. Now, it is still illegal in South Carolina, and we work in a city building.
It's still illegal?
And I mean,
IL legal?
It is still illegal in South Carolina. Yes, not legal in South Carolina.
Okay.
So people are wandering everywhere. I mean, through the performance hall, down in the lower level dressing room, it's everywhere. Nobody can figure out where it's coming from. So our director of operations walks by, and he's convinced it's a skunk. And we all, of course, just decided to agree with him. Like, sure.
He says it's a
skunk. It's a dead skunk.
Okay.
He's like, it's a dead skunk.
A dead
and we're
skunk.
just like, okay. That's what we're going with because that's what he says it is. So a little while later, it occurs to me, let me ask him about this whole smoking outside the stage door thing because I just don't like the smell.
Right.
So I send him an email. Again, director of operations, like one of the top people at the company. And, is there a policy or could there be or, just within X feet of the door, please don't smoke here, that kind of thing. Because it wafts through the door when people come in and it's usually cigarette, but, sometimes it's weed too.
Yeah.
So I just kind of casually mentioned that. But what you have to understand is that these stagehands are also people I work with.
Yeah.
Because I also work as a stagehand sometimes.
Wow.
And that
Jane of all trades. Sometimes you're at the door, sometimes you're behind the stage. You could do anything.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's through a union.
Okay.
A very close-knit old boys network down in the South Union. So apparently the director of operations replied to my email that day. The organization had 3 days where every external email they sent went to people's spam. So I didn't know I got a response till a week later.
Okay.
And I find it in my spam folder. He had replied and CC'd 13 people with my email attached.
Dude.
Including every single person I work with at that organization and several people from the union.
Dope.
I'm like, you just outed me
Yeah.
for narking on my soon-to-be fellow union members because I'm in the process of trying to join right now.
What did he say?
Thank goodness I haven't talked to him yet because I just kind of had to like cool down. I was really angry at first. I mean,
Yeah,
I am
that's
still
really smart.
really angry.
That's smart.
Yeah, I mean, it blows my mind that it wouldn't occur to him that this could cause problems because he came up as a tech guy in theater. So he was a union member. I mean, he's been in that world. He knows how it is. Oh, it just blew my mind.
But I think also people are not thinking. Generally,
Exactly.
I will say people
Yeah.
aren't thinking, like they're just not.
I agree.
Like,
I definitely agree.
sorry, I'm like also putting on
Yeah.
lipstick while I'm supposed to be talking.
Totally fine.
But like, yeah. People don't
Yeah, I
think,
mean,
like they just
fortunately,
do
there's
stuff.
been
Like
no-
people like don't
Right,
understand. Like,
yeah.
like email especially. I think everybody needs like a refresher
Mhm.
course on
Yeah.
what it means to have an email address. I think we were too generous
Mhm.
allowing everybody to have an email address. I think you should need to apply and prove competency before
Oh
you
my
can
God, that
simply
would be
send.
amazing.
You actually can't CC anyone until you have
I
completed
love that.
several hours
Yeah.
of webinars, and then you can have a
And
CC function.
one of them absolutely has to be on not using reply all.
100%. You actually won't have the
We
reply
don't-
all function
Oh my God. Yeah, you
until
don't.
you
Please,
have
please.
passed
Mhm.
all of the webinars.
I love-
After that,
I love this
you
idea.
can access reply all, and I think that's the only way
Fabulous.
forward. But I think you're so smart
I
for
do
like
too.
waiting and not just popping off. That's not what
Oh,
I would do. I
yeah.
would just immediately lose my mind, and so you're exhibiting a lot more maturity.
Well, it helps that when I found it, it was a weekend shift when I was back at work again and I was bored.
Oh,
He
they
was
probably
not in the
didn't see it
building.
either. Yeah.
Well,
Thank
so
God.
yeah, my hope is because I found out about the external email issue after the fact.
Yeah.
So my hope is that the people who are in the union never saw this either.
What exactly did you say in it? You were like, I know who's smoking weed. Don't make a big deal out of it.
I didn't name anybody, but I said something like, people showing up for shifts smelling like cigarettes, or in parentheses I put, or sometimes weed. There's really nothing I can do about that because
Yeah.
it's what they're doing before they get to work. But I
Yeah.
did also say something about sometimes on breaks. So I didn't name specific people, but there are definitely people
Does it
in
sound
this
like a
local
narky
for the
email?
union. There are people who would take it that way
Okay.
if it got
Okay.
out to them. There are definitely some who would take it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So-
lesson learned, you just never put anything in writing.
Exactly. But
You
the
just say, I
crazy
can't control
thing
what
is
people,
that
how people smell.
right. But I'm also obligated to report that as an employee.
What?
If somebody shows up under the influence of something that is not legal, it's a safety issue, and
Oh,
I'm obligated to report it.
yeah. Ugh,
Now,
yeah.
I
Ugh.
didn't even think about that.
Mhm.
Somebody else brought that point up.
Yeah.
But again, it wouldn't be taken that way.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't
And
be.
I would if it gets out, I will very, very likely get blackballed and never
God,
work a union job again.
Man, I had no
Yeah.
idea theater was so.
I mean, it's like, dude, I really just want to work and make some money and, do costumes for the Broadway shows. That's really all I'm asking for here, people.
It sounds great. It sounds great. Also, it's like, it's
Yeah.
going to be legal everywhere. It's just weird to have this still be an issue. It's like, it's legal
Oh
where I
my
live.
God.
And I'm like, I think right at first, it was like a little bit of a free for all. Like there was too much,
Mhm.
there was too much fragrance of weed everywhere. And now it's like, fine.
Yeah.
Like now I think it's cooled down a little bit, but
Yeah.
Man, okay, that's rough. That's rough. I'm sorry.
But man, South Carolina, you still can't buy liquor stores. Still can't be open on Sundays in South Carolina.
That was true in Minnesota until like I think very recently, and the liquor stores were like, we don't want to be open on Sunday. Like we don't want to.
Still can't get that one passed.
Yeah,
here,
we want a day off. We want a day off, which I have to say, like if you really, if you need booze 7 days a week, you gotta get your life under control. Like
Very
you
true.
know, like I think more places should be closed on Sunday, and that's a hot take nobody asked me for.
I agree.
I think most things should be closed. You know, more.
Yeah.
More often.
People need more time off. My goodness.
You used to have to get your holiday shopping done before the holidays, and now it's like you could just pop into a store on Christmas, and I don't think that's good for anybody. But
I know.
But don't.
Oh, I have someone staying with me right now who lives in London, and she was telling me about her Swedish friends, and like countrywide, practically the custom is that around 10 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, everyone takes a literal coffee break.
Isn't that great?
They go,
Fika.
They sit down.
Or fika?
They
I don't know how to
have
say
conversations. I think that's what she said, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, they just hang out.
Oh my God, we're so backwards in this country. It's like we're just all trying to kill ourselves working.
I know. Everyone's like,
yeah,
well, what could you do
insane.
to like work more? I'm actually really,
Yeah.
unlike other people, I'm freaked out about the state of our country, but it's also more like I'm just I've been writing about this for years, but like I'm just so against efficiency of all kinds. That's why this started 30 minutes late. So against optimization. I just do not. We are going to like efficiency the humanity out of everything. And that is not a day that I want to experience. I really don't. So
Same.
I'm fighting back by being as inefficient as I possibly can. Jen, thank you for calling.
I love it.
I hope keep me posted. Let me know how things shake out.
I will.
I love other people's drama, so please keep me in the loop.
All right, you got it.
Bye, Jen.
Bye, Nora.
All right, that was Jen. So far, we talked to someone from North Carolina and someone from another place. I didn't get their location. This is Thanks for Asking. It's a call-in show about what matters to you. You can call me at 612-568-4441. I'm now afraid to pick up my phone because somehow it makes the camera go out of focus. Those are issues for another day and probably another person. I simply cannot care about every single thing. And so in the year 2025, I simply will not. I just won't. Okay. I got a text that I'm going to read you. If somebody else calls in, I'll pause it. I put up a reel, a YouTube short, whatever. People ask a lot about my jewelry. I forgot to put my necklaces on today, which is so weird, but that's what happens because I got one of those clasps where you can take them all on and off at once. And so I've been taking them all off instead of just leaving them on, which I did for years and years. But talked about my rings. I wear 2 rings on my left hand. One is from my alive husband. One is from my dead husband. The ring from my dead husband arrived exactly, geez Louise, I arrived exactly 1 month after he died from a jeweler in Minneapolis named Lauren Neal. He had left a comment on her Instagram, and she saw it after he died and made sure that I had something to open on Christmas. And it just was a very beautiful gesture from her, and it's a beautiful ring, and I wear it proudly all the time. So I got this message from another widow because I think there are other people who have these kind of magical gifts from beyond the grave stories. So she writes, when we were students at Virginia Tech, Eric took a jewelry making class and he was always showing and giving me things that he had made. And at our 1-year dating anniversary, he gave me a ring that was so beautiful and it had a gorgeous canary diamond in it. Okay. Later on, he made this sterling silver hammered band that I loved, and I wore that all the time until one weekend visiting my hometown, I somehow lost it. It still bothers me to this day that somebody's running around in Winchester, Virginia with my ring on. But while I had it, my mom admired it so much that he made her one just like the one he'd made me. A year later, before he asked me to marry him, he went back to Blacksburg and had his former teacher help him finish a ring that he styled after that hand-hammered one, except this time it had a diamond in it. I said yes, and we were married for 23 years before he passed away from cancer. I wore my rings for a while, but eventually I just had to put them away. A few years ago, my mom, knowing how much I loved that silver band and missed wearing my wedding rings, gave me the ring that Eric had made her. And lately, I've been wearing it every day. An interesting observation that I had is that the ring I wore for 23 years is almost smooth, and you can barely see the hand-hammered parts of it because I wore it all the time. And so now I'm wearing a ring that looks like mine did the day I got it, and every day I think of him. It's amazing how a piece of jewelry can carry so much love and emotion. Thank you for letting me share my story. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Ugh, I just love stuff like that so much. I still have my wedding ring from when I married Aaron. I'm keeping it and his wedding ring, and I'm going to give them to our son when he is older. I don't know what he'll want to do with them. I know style changes so much, but I always wanted a ring like my parents' ring, and they weren't making, or I couldn't find a cigar band gold ring at the time, which is what my parents have. And now I have one that I bought used. I mean, I bought like a vintage one used that I sometimes wear. Okay, this is another great story of a gift from beyond. My brother Adam died by suicide on November 7th, 2016, and when going through his room, I found 2 DVDs still in their packaging on his bookshelf, both of which were on my Amazon wish list and both of which Adam never would have bought for himself. I'd like to say that the movies were like Citizen Kane or something by Steven Spielberg, but alas, the movies were 10 Things I Hate About You and The Princess Diaries. You may be thinking how cute he bought his 12-year-old sister the movie she wanted. I was 27. That's actually what I thought. I thought this is a man buying gifts for a millennial. That's what I read. I didn't think 12-year-old. I thought adult woman, because those are 2 of my favorite movies as well. When I saw them, I knew he had bought them either for my birthday, December 4th, or for Christmas. But then I wondered, when he bought them, did he already plan to end his life? Or did he decide sometime after? Did he imagine giving them to me in person, or did he plan on leaving them for me to find? Add it to the list of things I'll never know. Oh, God. That's a really beautiful story. It's a really sad one, of course, but those are the things that we'll never know. There's so much that we'll never know, and I actually think that is one of the hardest things about dying that way, is that there's so much that you will never know, and there's so much to think about. And I also find that about even just regular plain old deaths that you see coming. I really do. I really do. I think that is I went to a night with Laura Lynn Jackson. She's I guess a famous medium. I didn't know who she was before I went to the event. I also didn't know what the event was. My friend just invited me and I bought a ticket and I showed up and I was like, okay, I'm going with it. There's a medium here. And she said something that I have always felt to be true, which is that the people we love who have died are just fine. They are happy, they are healthy, they are whole, they are feeling nothing but pure love and peace, and we are the ones who are suffering. We are the ones who are sort of left, as my uncle said after my father died, feeling our way through the dark. Doesn't make it any easier to be here, but I sometimes think about that, you know, it's the saddest for us. It's the saddest for us. Okay. Again, our phone number is 612-568-4441. Hopefully it's not going to focus on the phone. Hopefully it will just if you want to call me, you can call me, but I can also call you. Okay. And so watch out, because I could just pick a number randomly and decide to call it. Okay. I got a text about a roommate experience. I was not always a great roommate, I'll be honest. I also did not have like the greatest of roommates, but I have to say the worst roommates I've ever had were my parents. When I boomeranged back to their home a few times a few times in my adulthood, which is, I believe, a great honor for a parent and something that I look forward to. I look forward to my children returning to us as adults, as, who knows what will happen. But I also have lived in situations with like massive amounts of people, like too many people for one house or one apartment. And sometimes with people I didn't know that well, and sometimes with people who I thought were like going to be my best friends, and it didn't work out that way. So I'm no stranger to roommate drama, but this roommate drama is extremely relatable to me, which is this person writes in that 2 Fridays ago, their roommate said, hey, my boyfriend is going to be here Saturday to Monday. Caller says that Wednesday they get home from work and the boyfriend is still there. Then the roommate says, okay, I'm actually going to drive him home Friday or Saturday. So what she says is going to be like a 3-day trip, like Friday or I can't do Wednesday. Saturday to Monday or Tuesday. Now it's like a Saturday to Friday or a Saturday to Saturday situation. And, this person is like, okay, if this happens again, could you just give me a heads up? And the roommate bristles and the roommate is like, okay, well, it's my house too. He's more than welcome here. And, it came back pretty defensively with, and I quote, timestamps on how much she's been gone and how much he has visited. Roommate tension is normal. We can work through it, I'm sure. We sort of patched things over yesterday morning. She's going to give me a heads up and I'll communicate I'm upset as they arise, but she got super defensive, so I'm afraid to ever bring anything up again. And I don't blame you. And I also think that when people get very, very defensive, it is because they are so afraid of being wrong. I say this as a person who, for a long time, and still sometimes like can get very, very defensive. And they're also a person who did not communicate that to you. Again, something I've often done is just like be a very, very poor communicator because they are so afraid of the initial barest bit of conflict, barest bit of like discomfort that they will then avoid it. And then it gets worse. And this is something that I talk to all of my kids about too, which is like, say it early, say it often, and you can avoid like the big thing. If you say, right, like on Monday night, like he was supposed to go home tomorrow, but now it's looking like Friday. I'm sorry, I'm sure this is like not how you plan to have your week, but like, is that okay? It could have been 2 minutes of discomfort, 2 minutes of that kind of conversation. I think it's worth saying that to someone, to be like, it is okay if your plans change, just tell me earlier. I wouldn't have minded, I'm not keeping track of like how often your boyfriend is here. I'm not, keeping timestamps on where he is. I did have a roommate who wanted a heads up if we were to have any guest in our home, and she wanted like 48 hours notice if we were to have, and this is like, we lived in New York City at the time. We weren't having like house parties, but like if I were to even have somebody over to like drink on our stoop, she wanted plenty of notice and veto power as to like who could come over at any point in time. And I didn't even have a boyfriend. So these are just like friends. These are like, oh, we're walking around the neighborhood. Let's stop by my house. That was a little rough. And I just basically lived in fear of her. She also one time like straight up confronted me about pasta. We were all buying and eating the same 79-cent box of pasta. I believe the box I opened was my box of penne, but it could have easily been hers, in which case just take one of these other boxes of penne. Like we're talking about the cheapest pasta available, 20 years ago. That was rough. I did not, thrive in that environment. I haven't talked to her since I moved out, and I hope she is doing well. I really do. But I think that I will be scared of her for the rest of my life. If I'm being honest, I really do. I think I'm going to be scared of her. I think if I saw her today, I'd be frightened. I really do. But it's very hard for people to work through disappointing another person. And so I have learned in my life, now I'm in my 40s, so now I know absolutely everything, of course, to try to give people as much grace as possible. Most of the time, I don't think that people are intentionally trying to like mess up my day. mess up my mood, do something wrong. And I do want to live in an environment where I believe that people have the best of intentions until proven otherwise. As my father-in-law says, like, trust but verify. It is also, I understand, living in this day and age in 2025, hard to believe that people have the best intentions, especially given everything that is going on in the world. And so something that I am practicing right now is focusing as small as I can on what I can actually control, because there is most of everything, I would say, is deeply, deeply out of our control and out of my control. But there are some things that we can do, and they can be small, and they might not feel like they are most effective. Sorry, we just took a political turn, but like, get in the car. I'm a terrible driver. Unless you are my insurer, I'm actually very good and always in control. And I know where I'm going. And I signaled that turn. And the thing is, I do always drive the speed limit. And now we're taking another turn. I'm signaling it though. I always drive the speed limit. I just do. Okay. And like in Phoenix, Arizona, that is not normal. That is not, people see the speed limit and they say add 15. That's the minimum you should be going. And I disagree with that. We also have a lot of traffic on surface streets. You never have to take a freeway if you don't want to. It is a grid, huge, like 5 or 6 lane roads, like main roads going through town where people are driving like 40, 45. Like, there are still pedestrians. There are children. We do live in like a society, not a very pedestrian friendly city, but we'll get into that. I got pulled over this summer for going the speed limit. I got pulled over for going the speed limit, and I was on the side of the road, like with this police officer screaming in my face for 30 minutes. Truly, like, so frightening. And I'm like a middle-aged white woman, just the most bizarre thing. He like pulled up next to me after I pulled over and was like, pull up further. I was like, why didn't you just pull up behind me? Like, what? And I literally went, And when he came up to me, he was screaming like, do you know statute 127.6? And I was like, of course I don't. Like, no. And he's like, blah. And he's like, you were making weird hand signals. And I'm like, this is a weird hand signal? This, I believe, is the universal sign for what? Like, what? Anyways, yeah, it's not, you can't drive the speed limit, according to that officer. Also, he didn't have his body cam on, and so there was no record of the stop. So I did file a complaint, and I encourage you to do the same when you are mistreated by somebody, because it's not okay. It was literally 30 minutes of being yelled at, and I had to talk him down. Okay, I had to talk him down. I had to ask him about his divorce. If my father gave me anything, it was like my nose, my body, my height, and my ability to really like emotionally manage an explosively angry man. So thank you so much. Let's see. By the way, I don't even know if this is still going. What everybody needs to know, and by everybody, I mean, I don't even know if anybody is there. I am practicing what I call deep cringe right now, and I would like all of you to take inspiration from this moment. I could be in a Truman Show right now, talking to nobody, but believing that I am. That could be happening. My children have informed me that if I show signs of dementia, they will set up a computer, tell me that I've sold a book, and then every day just be like, you got to hit your word count. You got to hit your word count, and like set up podcast equipment for me. Like, this could be the beginning of that, and I would have no idea. So we'll see. Okay. Someone texted me. They're still there. That's great. Well, now I'm going to call you. So get ready. Just kidding. It's the same person I already called. Okay. No, it is working. It is working. That's good to know. Oh, shoot. I have a voicemail. This might be on Do Not Disturb, which would be I think that would be kind of funny. Okay. I'm going to play a voicemail and see if it actually works and if you guys can hear it. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Okay, let me see if this plays. It better. Nope. Okay, great. Come on.
Jennifer, it's Valentine's Day, and it's just been a hard day. I've been dealing with a lot of chronic illnesses for months, and today, every time somebody would say, Happy Valentine's Day, I just felt more pissed off. And I really got to the point where I was like, I have another errand to do, but I think I'm just going to wait till tomorrow, because I don't think I can deal with it this year. It's been 13 years since my husband died. And some years I'm fine with it, but this year, it's with a lot of health issues, it's just overwhelming. So I just wanted to vent because I just was feeling so pissed off, and I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with me? But I know a lot of it, I just don't feel good. But thanks for having this line. I appreciate it.
I wish that would play through the thing. So that is something for me to fix for next time. I will work on that. I'm going to learn so much. You guys are never going to believe it, but could you understand her? She was saying that it's Valentine's Day and she was just having a bad day. Her husband died 13 years ago. Most years she's fine with Valentine's Day, but this one was just tough. And I do think that, 13's a number. 13's a number. It's my lucky number, but it also is just kind of like a heavy number. And there are years where things are going to hit you a little bit harder. And if you are a person in the world who knows a person who has been widowed at any point in time, it's nice. I'm not going to make you responsible for everybody's experience in this world, not at all. But if you can remember to send them something on days like that, just make sure they have something to open. I think that means a lot. And I know that because my first Valentine's Day, my first Mother's Day, someone, and I still have no idea, sent me flowers, and it felt nice to have something that I could open. It really did. And I was not expecting that in any way. All right. Okay, hold on. I also have to cough, and you're just going to have to listen to it. It's absolutely disgusting. I got this on an airplane. You know what I brought back from Mexico? This cough. Ooh, okay, that wasn't that bad. Okay, so before that, we were talking about small things. We were talking about the small things that we can do. I've been calling my reps, every Republican, I believe. I might have that wrong, but most of them. And I'm a registered independent. I am. Voted for a budget that included cuts to Medicaid and did not include any extra taxes for the ultra wealthy. And by wealthy, I'm not talking about your friend who lives in $1 million house. I'm talking about people who are, taking casual space trips with Katy Perry. And that is an insult. I mean that in an insulting way. I mean, if you have the money to take a casual trip to space, a fun trip to space, a vacay to space, you are not paying enough taxes. You simply aren't. If I sometimes feel so racked with guilt that I pass out money to strangers and I am not taking a casual trip to space, how do you wake up in the morning and not do something better with your money than orbit our flipping Earth? We need to bring back shame. We need to bring back bullying in appropriate settings. You should be bullying your Republican representatives. You should be. Mine, David Schweikert, is going to know my name. He's probably going to block me on Instagram. He's not going to be taking my phone calls anymore. He probably won't be reading my emails, but I am not going to stop, because if you run on balancing the budget and then you let a bunch of ding-dongs, a bunch of straight-up dorks run roughshod through our federal government, cutting the waste is never at the bottom. The waste is never at the bottom, and money has never, ever, ever trickled down. Money seeps up, okay? Like groundwater, from what I remember about the water cycle, which is something I have not studied since approximately third grade. We all do better when everybody does better. So cutting things that directly affect the people at the very bottom, people who rely on Medicaid, people who rely on Social Security, people who rely on SNAP benefits. Cutting those is not going to magically make more money appear. We need to tax corporations, close tax loopholes for hedge funds. We need to make people who have a lot of money pay the money they owe into the system, because guess what? Elon Musk got all of his wealth, maybe not all that significant amount of it, through government contracts. If you would like to call and vent about this with me, the number is 612-568-4441. But the past, 16 years? I don't know how long it's been. It's been so long. And what has happened is a lot of things have happened. I don't even know where to start, other than we've gotten very, very good at attacking individuals at our eye level for saying the wrong thing or believing the wrong thing. We have bought into this insane culture war that has made enemies out of people who affect our lives not at all, and allowed oligarchs to rise to power. We need to focus less on the small cultural differences that divide us and more on class solidarity. And class solidarity is literally all of us. It is not like nitpicking a woman on the internet who has, like, you know, a $2,000 bag, and what does she have to say about, you know, about anything? How can you take her seriously? She's got money. She does not have the kind of money that is affecting your life. People who have billions of dollars have the kind of money that is directly affecting your life. So call your reps, know your city council person, go to your school board meetings, like make whatever impact you can in your immediate circle of influence, and don't buy anything today. There's an economic blackout today, and I know that is tough. Guess what? I woke up knowing it, and I still, on my way home from getting my hair done, which is a small business, woman of color, don't give me any crap for it, okay? You know how hard it is to make a hair appointment with her? Okay, I'm giving her my money and I'm tipping her 200% is what I'm doing. So shut up. On the way home, I saw a Goodwill, and my muscle went, and I said, no, we are driving. We are going right back to the studio, and you are going to start a live stream 30 minutes late. That is what we are going to do. So, start small. Do something small. I started tennis lessons this week. We're going to connect it. And my teacher is 70-something years old. He's been teaching for 100 years. And all I did for an hour was this. Oh, sorry. That's wrong. You're not supposed to do that. You have to straighten your arm. Wrists like this. Loose grip. I had a death grip on it. And then up to down. That doesn't feel right, right? Up to down. Step right. I did just this. And then just this. And then just this, whatever. I did it for like an hour. That's all I did was these small movements, like small things over time add up. Don't lose hope. But if you are losing hope, if you are losing your mind right now, you are not alone. Join the club. It's called Everybody. We meet everywhere all the time. And I asked other people, like, what small thing is keeping you going right now? What is keeping you sane? Something that is keeping me sane is the fact that my youngest kid is this weird little boy. I love him so much. He's so weird. And I mean that as a compliment. All I wanted was weird kids, and boy, did I get them. He's very into sewing right now, and he's very into mending. So he has a pair of pajamas that is not meant to be pajamas. It's a onesie that makes him look like a hamster, and it is fully synthetic. It's so synthetic. There's not one hint of a natural fiber in this article of clothing. And the seams have predictably, like something that you bought on Rhymes with Amazon, have just completely come apart. And every night he gets a needle and thread, and he does a little whip stitch on the holes. And he patches and mends a new hole every night, and it's the cutest thing. He gets out his jammies, gets out his needle and thread, and just sits and sews and just yaps. This kid is a yapper, and I love it. If you have the opportunity to talk to a little kid, you have to. They have so many thoughts. They can't wait to get them out, and they will tell you everything. These kids come home from school ready to tell you a play-by-play of everything that has happened, everything that every kid said and when. Every kid that stepped on a line, which they're still doing line leaders, okay? The world changes. You're still doing this when you're the line leader. You're still protecting your spot in line. So these are small things that are keeping other people going. One writer says, hello, I live in Minneapolis with my spouse and 4 kids. I've been spiraling because of the horrors. So I did something about it. My neighbor and I got a room at a local park. This is something that Arizona is missing, that Minneapolis has. Public parks where you can rent the community rooms. This is very rare in Phoenix proper, where I live. Minneapolis Park Board, Minneapolis Parks and Rec I took that for granted. I grew up thinking everyone lived within 6 blocks of a public park, a lake, a creek in a city. Not true. So anyways, got a room at a local park, invited a bunch of parents we know, had a good old-fashioned community organizing meeting. The kids played with balls, not phones, and the adults schemed about how to build a better world. It was nourishing and fun and surprisingly easy. Cannot recommend this stupidly simple move highly enough. We're gonna do it again soon. Beautiful. Start small. Last week I met with the founder of Civic Engagement Beyond Voting. They are here local in Arizona. You can sign up they're everywhere in Arizona. You can sign up for their emails. They will send you an email of everything that is happening at the local level that is involved with the issues that you are interested in. They will get you signed up for a right to speak, which is a unique part of the Arizona legislature where the public is allowed to comment on bills that are being passed. And they are part of Indivisible. So you can always go to the Indivisible website, put in your address, and get involved in people who are already doing the work. I promise you, whatever you care about, there's an organization already doing the work, and you can put some wind in their sails. And that wind might be your time, that wind might be your money, but they're out there. Okay. Another vote for community organizing. Community organizing is keeping me sane right now, and my local library. The library is literally so cool and doesn't get the hype it deserves. I agree. I love the library. Get the Libby app. I'm telling you, get the Libby app. I read New York Magazine every week on my Libby app. It is there, ready for me to read. You can get People Magazine, which I have a subscription to People because I'm old fashioned. I love getting a People magazine in the mail. And when I was younger, I loved People magazine. And I was like, when I'm older, the height of wealth to me as a kid was being able to subscribe to magazines. And now almost all magazines are dead. And so I am doing my one part to keep magazines going. So I have a lot of magazine subscriptions. Back to this texter, sorry. Do people know about Canopy, a free streaming service through your library with awesome movie and show options? Canopy with a K. Did you know about that? I did not know about Canopy with a K. So you don't have to pay for Hulu. Apparently, you don't have to pay for Netflix. Get Canopy. Again, if you're voting with your dollar, I am also not judging you for the choices that you have to make. I let my Amazon account lapse. Sorry. I let my Amazon account lapse. It just was lapsing anyways. And I wanted to put a little bit more friction between me, my wants, and getting something. Because often I will order something on Amazon. It gives me like a little boop of dopamine. And then it arrives and I'm like, okay, now I have this extra thing. Like, did I really need this? I don't know. I don't blame you if you still keep it. Like, there are obvious applications for Amazon that make a lot of sense. It is a place where, I mean, everybody who survived the California wildfire set up an Amazon wish list. I am promoting this week an Amazon wish list for a grief camp that my kid goes to that is, fully volunteer run. And, they need things to keep kids entertained and also safe during camp. And Amazon is the only platform that makes that extremely easy and accessible. And do I hate that? Yes, but not enough to not help people when that is the way that they can be helped. So Canopy, using your local library. It's the little things sometimes. So I love hearing this. Okay. What's keeping me going is small kindnesses. My best friend would bring me a small package of Kleenex every time she saw me after my girls were was not ready for this. After my girls were killed in a head-on collision, she still does this. After losing 3 of my kids, I've been undone, but she would come and sit with me and sometimes never say anything at all and just hand me a Kleenex. She got real comfortable with sorrow and sitting in it with me. I'm ever grateful. We got coffee the other Saturday and she pulled out a pack and I realized how lucky I am. What a text. What a world. What a feeling to live through that and realize how lucky you are because you have a friend who will show up with a package of Kleenex and sit with you and let you just cry. Like that really is what it's all about, which, does bring me back to billionaires. Okay. It brings me back to billionaires because we are in a world where like Jimmy Carter sold his peanut farm and now we have a president who's like doing merch and like Bitcoin, or I don't know, like meme coin. I don't know what coins are. Like, is it a Bitcoin or is Bitcoin a kind of coin? I don't know. He's doing like a crypto drop, right? Like RFK's got merch or something. It's just so ghoulish and honestly very tacky. And when I was watching Jimmy Carter's funeral, I was like, oh my God, you know what? Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Donald Trump and all these other guys don't have like actual character. Like, no, they're not going to have a grandchild stand up at their funeral and be like, oh my God, my grandparents' house smelled like cookies. And, they used to dry out their Ziploc bags. And like, that's like what it means to be a person in the world. What it means to be a person in the world is bringing Kleenex and sitting with your friend and not trying to like build a rocket to space and not trying to just plumb the federal government to line your own pockets. And I just think like, what motivates you in the morning if it's not watching a little kid sew up his hamster jammies or meeting a friend for coffee and handing her a package of Kleenex? It's such a different mentality that I truly cannot imagine it. And I have an excellent imagination. I can imagine most things, but I just can't imagine having that much money and not waking up, getting out a shovel, shoveling money into, originally I was going to say like a bucket, but I think it would be one of those, because I'm looking at one of those, kind of plastic bins that closes like this, like where the things lock, filling up entire box, tons of those boxes with money, putting them in the back of my car, driving around and being like, hey, come over here, and just handing out a box of money. I would do that all the time. I do that every day. I can't think of anything more fun. I would be going to hospitals and being like, how much, who has a delinquent bill? And then I just pay them all off. I'd be going to a bank and saying like, okay, who's underwater on their mortgage right now? All right, I'm going to pay that off. Like, I just would be so much more fun. And that's why I want you to make me a billionaire. When you join my pyramid scheme, when you join my when you join me, what you're doing is funding my capacity for fun. But I'm going to take your money and I'm going to give it away. And that is what I'm asking for, sharks, is a lot of money so I can give it away. And that's my entire business plan right here. So again, I'm a 42-year-old woman, just like doing YouTube for fun. I'm having a good time. I hope you are. I think we've been here for an hour. I think we can probably wrap it up. I have no way of knowing who's here, if you guys liked it, what you guys experienced, but I think that we are going to try to do this. I think I'll try to do it again on Friday. Maybe I'll do this on Fridays. Will I be here on Friday? I should check my calendar before I make a commitment. I'm going to be here on Friday. And I think we're going to do this again next Friday. And perhaps it will work. And perhaps it won't. But we're going to be easy on ourselves, because honestly, there are bigger things in the world than like, trying out a live stream and that someone may or may not even watch. There are bigger things than, than being like slightly embarrassing on the internet. There just are. So I'm Nora McInerny. This is Thanks for Asking. It is a call-in show. We only had 2 calls today, and I'm choosing to view that as a win. Okay, that's 2 more calls than I thought I would have. I did ask my friend Alicia to call in. I did ask her to. She didn't, and that's okay. That's okay, because she's homesick today, and I think that's all right. She says her voice sounds like Marge Simpson, and I said that sounds like great audio. So why wouldn't you call? It's also the slowest I've ever drank a Diet Coke in my life, because I am a chugger. So have a great weekend. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to other people. If you want more of this, we have tons of episodes over on the Substack. It's noraborealis.substack.com. You can also write in if you have something that you want to say. You can always text. You can always leave a voicemail. I will figure out how to play the voicemails. And when I figure out how to play the voicemails, it's over for everybody. It's literally over for everybody. And actually, because I'm here, I'm just going to test one out right now and see if I can figure it out right now. And if I can't, you don't care. So, nope. Okay, hold on one second. Okay. If I figure this out, if I figure this out, I'm going to be so proud of myself. Are you guys ready? Because I'm going to try, okay? If this doesn't work, I won't cry, because I'm just trying something. Just give me a second. How do I do it? Okay, everybody be cool. Everybody calm down. Okay.
Hi.
I don't think that's working. Is it? Because going through my speakers, but I want it to go through this. Or try it.
This is very random that I'm calling you, but I just saw your post on Instagram, and I've just been feeling some sort of way about these text messages I've been sending. So there was a man that I saw. I will say that I just saw him. We didn't really date because he didn't take me anywhere. He simply drove to my house and used me as, whatever, a hookup. But I always had some sort of hope that he was going to one day get his life together and get over his trauma. And then I realized that he's actually just a narcissistic, manipulative, kind of a terrible person, but uses his sad child.
Yeah, that is the definition of what Taylor Swift called living for the hope of it all. Okay. Believing that you as a woman are meant to be a rehab facility for emotionally damaged men is highly relatable to me. So, like I said earlier to a caller, I used to sleep in makeup in case a boy who truly did not know my last name and never asked it, in case he called. So I relate.
Childhood as an excuse for his behavior. And I think because I was in a bad place personally, because my fiance had passed away, and this is actually why I met this guy. This guy was also in rehab, which is a fantastic place to, have a connection from.
Yeah, it's called the 13th step. They tell you not to do it, but also they tell you not to do a lot of things. And after you lose a spouse, a fiance, a boyfriend, when you are in grief, they're like, don't make any big decisions for a year. And it's like, everything is a big decision when you are grieving. Like, and also some decisions you cannot help but make. Sometimes you have to move. Sometimes you can't work. Sometimes you have to find another job. So, it's also, again, highly relatable.
Where your fiance who was fighting for his life and well, he graduated, quote unquote, from rehab, but he did not successfully become sober. And this guy, he gave me the impression, he didn't even reach out to me except for to send his condolences for about a year. Dan, my fiance, had actually mentioned him as being very, very attractive. He loved him. He called him, he would call their little talks at night pillow talk. He gave me a very comforting, he said this guy was the only basically person that had his life together. He just got caught up in drugs. So I felt like I had this comforting, wow, what a full circle. He knew Dan. He loved Dan. He would never hurt me. I had just, put myself in this la-la land. When I was really just, as they call it, dickmatized. He's beautiful. He's got a six-pack. He's got the most perfect penis I've ever seen. I don't know. It's just all a whirlwind. It took me 4 years to finally, not to mention that he was involved with another woman who he had met at rehab. I didn't really realize this, fully put it together, but he gaslit me enough that I believed that it wasn't really a thing.
Yeah, grief's going to make you do weird stuff. Grief is going to make you ignore every red flag. You kind of become colorblind when you're heavily grieving. You're like, I don't know. I don't know. Look, he said it was nothing, so it's got to be nothing. And that was not my experience after grief, but I know enough widows to know that this is a tale as old as time.
Well, another side story. Anyway, after nearly 4 years, I finally worked up the courage to not let him back in my life. He deeply upset me one time in August, and I used that as an excuse to fill myself with so much rage and hatred towards him that I could never allow him back in my life.
Oh, okay. Oh, here we go.
Hi, me. I was rambling for so damn long it went to another voicemail. So anyway, finishing up my story. So after all of these years, I let that rage fester. I didn't let him back in. I did, though, allow him to come back one time in December. And he just solidified. He doesn't even, I don't think, realize how much of a terrible person he is because he's so sociopathic, or I don't even know. He's just a void of humanity to me at this point. Anyway, my whole point of this is I think that this makes me a petty person, but there's something really therapeutic to me right now, ever since the last time I saw him in December, where once every week or less, it's not obsessive, I will send him a text message reiterating the fact that I think he is a terrible person. And also, yeah, well, the Valentine's Day one was kind of funny because there's a whole other wing of this story is his mother, but he lives with his mother and he doesn't need to. And I said, I hope you have a nice romantic dinner with mommy today. And yeah, I know that makes me I'm so stupid for doing this. Because why am I doing this? I should just let it go. I blocked him on everything, but I didn't block his phone number just so I could send him these messages. And I know from what he's told me before, when I would tell him about things that I thought he was doing that were messed up, that he'd be like, oh, you're just trying to ruin my day. So yeah, I am trying to ruin your day. Okay. You ruined 4 years of my life after I went through a traumatic experience. And then you did this to me, for no reason. There was no reason to do this. You could have chosen any girl to hook up with. I don't know. Anyway, thank you for listening.
Oh God, I'm happy to listen to anything that you are holding like that. Yeah, I would love to believe that I'm better than that, but I've who amongst us has not been there, has not wanted to let another person know that we know that they are a piece of crap. But there are only two outcomes. One, he already knows, and you can't make him feel worse. Or two, he already knows and he does not care. because he never cared. And I just watched Scamanda on Hulu. I'd already heard the entire podcast, which honestly, every time a podcast gets turned into a series, I think the podcast was better. They did better. And I think it's because there's so much that you can't do in a podcast. You really have to get the story across through somebody's ears only. But if you're unfamiliar with the story, I'm going to ruin it for you, but it also, just by hearing the title, it's a scammer story. Scammer stories are really hot right now. This specific scammer was a woman who pretended to have cancer, including brain cancer, which is incredibly triggering for me personally because my husband died of brain cancer. And she ended up going to She ended up going to the principal's office and prison. She was a principal. She conned her way into that job as well. But she ended up going to prison for wire fraud because she was collecting money under false pretenses because she never had brain cancer. And this is a person who would get up in her church and give testimony about the glory of God and miracle drugs and clinical trials that she was never a part of, and because she never had cancer. And so there are some people among us, and I believe they are rare. Again, I do try to believe that we live in a world where people are mostly good. There are people who just do things like that and truly don't care. And every time you reach out to them or every time you talk about it, you are reinforcing their importance in your world. You are underlining and feeding their sense of self-importance. And so the only reason I would tell you not to do this is because if that's the case, you are just putting more gas on his internal fire. And every time you text him and say, you're a loser who lives with his mom, he reads, she's thinking about me. She's still thinking about me. She's still thinking about me. But, as a lover of justice, it resonates with me, the need to let somebody know that they did something wrong. Like, I get that. I fully get that. Okay, so if this is working and someone texted me and said it is, I am going to play another one, okay? All right, this one, the transcript's not available. It's 3 minutes long, so we're going to risk it. I don't know what this is.
It just beeped at me.
It did.
Okay. I have examples of feeling like these people needed to be in my past. So my husband, Adam, died in 2018 of brain cancer.
You're just saying that.
Jamie, work at...
Okay, look, when something lines up that way, I always say the portal is open because to name another scam cult documentary, if you have not watched Love Has Won on HBO, watch it. Okay, watch it. I'm highly susceptible to scams. I cannot believe that I have not been asked to join one. Can't believe I haven't been asked to join a cult because every time I watch a cult documentary, I think, okay, they're making good points. Let him be. Anyway, she talked a lot about the portal, and every time something lines up like this, I just said the word brain cancer, and if this woman is writing in about brain cancer, I think, oh my God, the portal is open. Everything is aligning, even though my husband died of brain cancer and I've talked about it very publicly. So of course people with brain cancer will call me, but no, the portal is open. That's how I choose to see it. And that's what we're seeing right here.
At a spa in a very popular tourist destination. So I meet people from all around the world. Every day is different. No real repeat clients. It's actually my favorite part of the job is just...
Okay, she's saying basically she works in the White Lotus. I love this.
The people are really fascinating, and I've met some really cool people. And one day I was doing a couple's massage, and I saw that the couple had a memorial tattoo that they very clearly had lost a child. And I didn't feel that a couple's massage was the right setting, but I decided that moving forward, if I saw someone who had a tattoo of that nature, I was going to ask them about it and give them the opportunity to tell me about who their person was, if they wanted to. If not, great, we would move on and no big deal. but I just thought that there's so few people who are comfortable with the uncomfortableness of it. And I just wanted them to know that, like, them talking about their person was more important to me than any awkwardness. So the first time that it kind of happens, I have a client and she has a portrait tattoo on her leg with "Till We Meet Again." So I know that, obviously. So I'm kind of humming and hawing, and I can't really decide if this is something that I want to do, because maybe she doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe she's just here to relax, and maybe she doesn't want to think about it. And then I thought to myself, no, there's very few situations where I don't want to talk about Adam. Any chance I get, I'm going to bring him up because it makes me happy. So I figured that these people would probably be the same. And if they didn't, then we move on and no big deal. So I asked her about it. I say the tattoo is beautiful. Don't mind my asking, who was it? And she lets me know that it was her son. And she had lost him in 2017. And, I gave, my condolences, as best I could, because there's not much to say. And I did say, I know that it doesn't compare in any manner, but I lost my husband. So, again, different types of loss, but I'm there with you with, knowing what the loss is. And she asks when my husband died. And I said, he died in October of 2018. And she said, no, you've got to be joking me. She said, my husband Adam died in October of 2018. And of course I paused and kind of was like, I'm sorry, did you just say your husband was named Adam? And she was like, yeah. And I said, my husband was named Adam. And so that
what? So that what? It cut off. Oh my God, I need the end of this story. Oh my gosh. Okay, I gotta text her. Okay, I guess this is going to be to be continued because, oh my God. What? What? Okay, that was not a good time for that to... That was not a good time for that to cut off. That was not a good time for that to cut off. That's not cool. That's not cool. Hopefully we get an update about that. Please, 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 begging you. And okay. Actually, I should probably end this. Next time we're going to talk grudges because I have the best grudges that I just found. I like to stash things around the internet like a squirrel and find them later. This was a Friday Thanks for Asking live stream on YouTube. We did start a half hour late. We did our best. I've tried to end this 3 times and then I stopped myself from ending it. I'm giving myself the Minnesota goodbye and you are along for the ride. Also, this is what my studio looks like on a Friday. I am going to clean. There's doom piles everywhere, and the doom piles are even getting to me. They're going from piles that make sense to me to piles that aren't. Thank you for being here. Again, you can always call 612-568-4441. You can text if you have something to say and you don't want to talk. That's fine. Not everyone wants to talk on the phone with me, but I'm a senior millennial. I love gabbing on the phone. Or you can email us, thanks@feelingsand, that's AND.co. And we will see you next time.